evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, together with the Presidential Communications Office.
We bring you the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news coverage from the People's Television, IBC, Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, and Presidential Broadcast Service. I'm Princess Habiba Saripauda.
And I'm Joe Fernandez. We are from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to
Balitang Pambansa.
Tonight's headlines. The palace remains confident that potential investments and investors will not be affected by recent political noise. Several lawmakers belied claims that recent developments connected with the arrest of the former president is already a prelude to the declaration of martial law. House leaders urged further scrutiny on the names of several supposed recipients of the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, especially since all of the supposed individuals do not have any record before the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. The Philippine National Police or PNP has expressed readiness to cooperate and serve any additional warrants from the International Criminal Court or ICC against the co-accused of the former president. Following the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte by virtue of an International Criminal Court or ICC warrant for alleged crimes against humanity, the palace assured that there is no cause for concern among investors despite political tensions in the country. The palace also dismissed claims that the ICC case would drive away foreign investors. Our William Theo has the details.
The administration of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. remains confident the political noise in the country has no impact on those who wish to invest and do business here. This after the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is facing crimes against humanity charges in the International Criminal Court due to his brutal war on illegal drugs and extrajudicial killings.
Hindi po naaalarma ang administrasyon patungkol po sa investors dahil ang mga foreign investors po mas gusto po nila na ang bansa at ang mga leader ay sumusunod sa batas. Hindi po nagkakanlong ng mga tao na involved po lalong-lalo na sa crime against humanity, specifically murder. Hindi po inaayunan talaga yan ng mga foreign investors.
Recently, President Marcos Jr. revealed that 107 investment projects worth over 4 trillion pesos have been certified by the Bureau of Investments. These projects are expected to provide clean, cheaper, and more accessible electricity while also creating thousands of jobs for Filipinos. The government is optimistic the country's gross domestic product or GDP will see significant improvement. The GDP measures the total value of goods and services in the country and serves as a key indicator of economic health. Last year, the Philippines recorded a GDP growth of 5 to 6%.
Hindi po kasi dapat nating isipin yung negatibo eh. Dapat lagi tayo mag-move forward para sa positive na mangyayari sa Pilipinas.
In line with efforts to boost the economy, the government is intensifying efforts to provide decent paying jobs and livelihood opportunities for Filipinos. 70 job fairs are scheduled for this March to help address employment needs.
Sa Metro Manila, mahigit 10 job fairs pa ang nakatakda sa mga darating na araw. Sinisikap ng gobyerno na makapagbigay ng mas maraming trabaho para matulungan ang mga maiangat ang kalidad ng pamumuhay ng mga Pilipino.
Job fair schedules are available on the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE website and its social media accounts. William Theo for Balitang Pambansa.
In related news, a retired Supreme Court official has affirmed that the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte adhered to legal procedures. According to retired Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, the Philippine government is authorized to surrender individuals with pending cases before the International Criminal Court or ICC, citing Republic Act 9851 as the governing law in the absence of the Philippines' membership to the Rome Statute. In response to Duterte's legal counsel, Attorney Salvador Medellea, statement on kidnapping, Carpio encountered this argument, stressing that the Philippine law explicitly allows the government to surrender individuals with ICC cases. Section 17 of Republic Act 9851 provides the legal basis for such action.
Batas na nagsasabi sa atin, Philippine law, Section 17 of Republic Act 9851, the government has the option to surrender. Sinurrender nila. So that has authority of law. May batas na allowing them to surrender. Of course, yung tao na sinusurrender will not agree, but that will not stop the government from exercising its authority under the law, because the law says the government can surrender.
The evidence is strong, coming directly from former President Rodrigo Duterte's statements regarding his alleged direct involvement in the war on drugs during his administration. This is what ICC-accredited lawyer and chairperson of Sentro Law, Attorney Joel Butuyan, said in an interview earlier today. No matter who represents the former president, Attorney Butuyan believes that the bail could not be granted because the evidence against him is strong. Also, extreme and urgent necessity would be required to be able to secure it.
Yung bail na nangyayari sa atin, papasok yan dun sa may tinatawag na application for interim release dun sa may ICC, no? Para makakuha ka nito, kailangan mo ng extreme and urgent necessity, no? So kailangan mo rin ipakita na you're not a flight risk, kailangan mo rin ipakita na you're not going to antagonize and intimidate witnesses, and that you're not going to tamper with evidence.
Meanwhile, the palace has challenged Attorney Harry Roque to return to the Philippines after he resurfaced in The Hague, Netherlands. A lawmaker has pushed back against claims that the former president's spokesperson's arrest was an act of political persecution. Meanwhile, amid heated discussions surrounding the International Criminal Court, or ICC, another lawmaker has strongly refuted speculations that the situation is heading toward martial law. PTV's Melalis Moras has the details.
The House Squad Committee wants the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, and the Bureau of Immigration, or BI, to explain how Attorney Harry Roque was able to leave the country and travel to The Hague, Netherlands, despite having a contempt and detention order issued against him by the joint panel. According to Quadcom co-chair Stephen Paduano, their next hearing might take place on Friday, and they are planning to summon representatives from the DFA and BI.
We have to explain to the committee na Harry Roque is cited in contempt, but is scot-free, especially ngayon, lumabas na talaga with BP Sara pa and all other entourage dun sa The Hague. Nagtatago nga siya pero doon napaka-komportable siyang naglalakad, no? And hindi pa nga namin alam talaga kung from what country siya before Netherlands ang galing. So malalaman natin siguro yan in the next hearing, no?
Meanwhile, Quadcom lead chair Representative Robert Ace Barbers refuted claims that they're allegedly singling out Roque. The former presidential spokesperson is currently one of those assisting former President Rodrigo Duterte in the case filed against the former chief executive before the International Criminal Court, or ICC.
Wala pa naman yung ICC, may contempt na siya eh. Wala pa naman yung ICC na issue eh. He was already ordered detained. Unfortunately, he was not in the country. He left the country, no? For whatever reason, hindi niya na-serve yung kanyang contempt order.
Barber said that the Quad Committee has no jurisdiction over other countries, so their arrest order against Roque is only effective in the Philippines. Meanwhile, Malacanang has issued a challenge to Roque regarding this matter.
Maganda po siguro na i-challenge po talaga natin siya, na siya po yung umuwi. Kasi di ba bring home FP Duterte. So siguro mas magandang isigaw po rin ng mga tao, bring home Roque.
As discussions on the ICC remain heated, House Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin firmly denied claims by some that the current situation is leading towards the declaration of martial law.
Napakalayo sa katotohanan ng fake news na magkaka-martial law. Unang-una, yes, talaga namang may mga pockets of demonstration. Natural yan kasi emotional ang tao. However, ang problema kasi hindi yan ang solusyon eh.
From PTV, Melalas Moras, Balitang Pambansa.
Disinformation or dissemination of fake news is a disease whose only cure are facts and more facts that promote truth. PCO Palace Press Officer Claire Castro on March 17, 2025 press briefing, and with lies and half-truths spreading like wildfire online and in the real care of Duterte diehard supporters and trolls. The palace is ramping up efforts to counter the relentless waves of fake news and falsehoods flooding cyberspace and in the real on the former president's arrest and trial in the ICC. In a presser earlier today, PCO Palace Press Office Claire Castro bewailed the proliferation of lies and deception online to hopefully alter the status quo in the ICC and of the former president by spreading false narratives and wrong information to mock the public and sway them to the other way. Case in point, former Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, an attorney by profession, claiming the former president's physical status at one point in time as missing, which the ICC quickly refuted, reminding him his former boss is in safe detention at the ICC headquarters. Medialdea also claimed on the former president's second day in custody with the ICC that he was abducted by ICC operatives in cahoots with the Philippine government, which, as we all know, is a bald-faced lie claimed by a former high official and attorney at law.
Meanwhile, a House Solon announced yesterday having uncovered more fictitious names and non-existent individuals who appear in receipts, invoices, and documents of official business transactions with the office of the former vice president. Such unraveling or discovery has only dug a deeper hole for the vice president, stuck in a mire of deception and duplicity in her use of hundreds of millions in confidential and intelligence funds. Conversely, it has reinforced the case of the House Prosecutorial Panel in making their claim the vice president should be impeached and removed from office because of her attempts to abuse her power over her intelligence and confidential funds and should never be allowed to hold government office ever. Another news, Senate President Francis Escudero said that if a warrant of arrest was issued against Senator Ronald De La Rosa, the Senate it is called institutional courtesy. Senate President Escudero explained that the Senate will not allow any of their members who are inside the Senate to be arrested, especially if there are sessions. He further says whether there is a session or not, the police are discouraged from entering Senate premises, much more handcuff any senator due to institutional courtesy. However, he clarified that there will be limitations once the Supreme Court or SC comes up with a clear decision regarding the case.
Nearly a week has passed since former President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested over charges of crimes against humanity before the International Criminal Court or ICC in connection with his previous administration's controversial war on drugs. According to the Philippine National Police or PNP, they have yet to receive any arrest warrants for Duterte's co-accused. However, should such warrants be issued, it assured that the same procedures would be followed in line with the country's commitment to Interpol. PTV's Patrick De Sus has the details.
It has been nearly a week since former President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested for his case of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court in connection with the allegedly bloody war on illegal drugs. Duterte is in ICC custody in The Hague, Netherlands, where his confirmation of charges is set for September. According to the Philippine National Police, they have not yet received an arrest warrant for Duterte's co-accused. However, should this happen, the same process will be followed for the warrant as part of the country's commitment to Interpol.
Sa ngayon po is wala pa po tayong monitor po na arrest warrant po para doon sa kanilang mga co-accused po. The same procedure po, kung hingi po sila sa atin ng tulong, ay the same accord po ang ibibigay po natin sa kanila.
According to ICC Assistant Counsel Attorney Cristina Conti, former PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde, and Senator Ronald De La Rosa are likely the next to be arrested. Meanwhile, the PNP is prepared to cooperate in the Senate investigation to be launched by Senator Amy Marcos regarding the former president's arrest. Aside from the PNP, other agencies invited to the hearing include the Office for Transport Security, DOJ, DFA, National Security Council, and CAAP.
Ang PNP po ay nanatiling support role lang po sa National Trans Commission po. Handa po ang PNP na makipag-cooperate sa lahat po ng investigation.
Meanwhile, the PNP has monitored a total of 58 rallies across the country since Duterte's arrest, attended by approximately 49,000 individuals. The PNP remains on alert but says there is no need to raise the alert status.
Sa ngayon po, since binawi na po yung heightened alert status po, is hindi po nangangamba ang PNP, patuloy mo po sa kanyang trabaho na peace and order po.
From the People's Television Network, Patrick De Jesus, Balitang Pambansa.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, announced that they have completed printing more than 68 million official ballots for 2025 national and local elections. This is despite the delays they encountered during the printing process. They also have finished it earlier than their target, which is on March 25. The poll body clarified that the printed ballots do not include test ballots and ballots for the Bangsamoro parliamentary elections that has been moved to October. For now, the COMELEC thanked National Printing Office for additional machineries that help to speed up the process. In other news, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZA, has released new guidelines on pharma zones, aiming to attract more investments and reduce drug prices. Meanwhile, the Philippine economy is expected to perform well despite ongoing political tensions. These and more in tonight's Business Wrap from the Philippine News Agency.
Moving on to our market wrap, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority has issued guidelines for establishing and registering pharma zones or pharmaceutical zones, which will serve as hubs for companies involved in medical and drug manufacturing. The guidelines approved by the PEZA board chaired by Trade Secretary Maria Cristina Roque in February outlined incentives for pharma zone developers, operators, and registered business enterprises. PEZA Director General Tereso Panga said the proposed pharma zones will serve to attract investments, advance technology, lower prices, and boost local production and jobs, enhancing the Philippines' role in the global pharmaceutical market. Meanwhile, Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation Chief Economist Michael Ricafort predicts that the Philippine economy will improve this year despite the political noise, geopolitical threats, and tariff wars. Ricafort said the impact of former President Rodrigo Duterte's arrest on March 11 is minimal. He said the process could send positive signals on respect for the rule of law and institutions. He added that the country's strong economic fundamentals continue to allow government efforts to attract investors. Meanwhile, Ricafort emphasized that U.S. President Donald Trump's protectionist policies pose a bigger risk to economic growth. He said strict immigration rules may impact overseas Filipino workers' remittance, which could affect global trade, investment, and employment. In other news, Double Dragon Corporation has pledged 18.2 million pesos to subsidize 12 months of SSS contributions for 2,000 informal workers in Iloilo and Rojas City. Double Dragon formally signed a memorandum of agreement to register as a contribution subsidy provider through the SSS Contribution Subsidy Provider Program. The program aims to encourage government entities and business to support Filipino workers. Social Security System President and CEO Robert Declaros said that the SSS contribution subsidy will support the 2,000 informal workers and their families by allowing them to become SSS members. And that's the latest business news from the Philippine News Agency. This is Maritime for Balitang Pambansa.
Thank you. The Philippine Coast Guard District Central Visayas has strengthened vessel safety enforcement inspection in Cebu, Bohol, and Camotes Island. Josite Antista from the Philippine Information Agency Central Visayas tells us more.
The Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG District Central Visayas, has intensified its vessel safety enforcement inspection, or VSEI, in Cebu, Bohol, and Camotes Island. PCG Central Visayas District Commander Commodore Winil Ascuna explained that VSEI conducts a more thorough assessment to ensure that vessels comply with the maritime industry's established regulations.
Katong advisory namo was more of an informative sa ato ang mga stakeholders na mag-increase mi sa among inspection, and the goal is of course to prevent maritime incidents. We are using the VSEI as a platform to help the maritime industry conform or meet the minimum standards.
Based on PCG's data, approximately 95% of vessel operators immediately complied after their deficiencies were identified during the inspection. The Coast Guard also encourages passengers to report any deficiencies or violations they observe on their vessel through a QR code posted at port terminals and onboard ships. From the Philippine Information Agency Central Visayas, Josette Antista, Balitang Pambansa.
Office of Civil Defense Region 1 in Bagong, Ilocos Norte conducted an earthquake drill and evacuation and rescue operations for the first quarter nationwide simultaneous earthquake drill today. Mary Therese Ancheta from the Philippine Information Agency Ilocos Norte has more.
A magnitude 8.5 earthquake followed by a tsunami. This is the disaster simulated by the Office of the Civil Defense Region 1 in Bagong, Ilocos Norte for the first quarter nationwide simultaneous earthquake drill on Thursday. Aside from participating in the standard safety protocol of duck, cover, and hold, they also engage in evacuation and rescue drills. The police and military participants assisted in evacuation and rescue operations on land, ensuring the safety of residents and students. Additionally, they conducted simulations of law enforcement response by managing simulated looting activities during the disaster scenario. Meanwhile, the Philippine Air Force team conducted a helicopter search and rescue operation, which included airlifting simulated victims stuck on an isolated island to medical stations for treatment. The Naval Forces Northern Luzon and the Philippine Coast Guard demonstrated their water search and rescue skills in a simulated earthquake and tsunami, rescuing a victim stranded at sea. Lastly, the BFP Special Rescue Unit showcased a high-angle rescue, demonstrating their ability to rescue victims stranded in low-lying areas.
Ito ay ginagawa natin every quarter para siguraduhin natin na hindi nawawala yung ating mga communities sa mga information at saka ano mang bagay na dapat malaman nila pagdating ng mga kalamidad, especially yung earthquake.
The drill is part of the national government's continuing efforts to strengthen disaster resilience and ensure swift and effective response during natural calamities. From PIA Ilocos Norte, Mary Therese Ancheta, Balitang Pambansa.
And that concludes our rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Joe Fernandez.
It is the 15th day of Ramadan. This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again tomorrow at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Abiba Saripaudak, and this is
Balitang Pambansa.